I'm Mary White with the Academy of Cannabis Science. And today we're going to be working on, well, it's a brownie recipe, but it's not a boring or predictable brownie recipe. And the great thing about this particular recipe is, for one thing, I think most of the stuff you would already have in your home. And second of all, it's really easy. I mean, it's super easy. And one thing I want to really make sure you guys are aware of is, obviously, cannabis has been around for millennia, and people have been cooking with it for ever and ever and ever. So this is not mystery magic. This is grandma medicine that we're now coming to realize was really excellent the whole time, okay? But grandma medicine, okay, but also nowadays, a lot of us can't do wheat, or they can't, people can't do a lot of stuff anymore. And I wanted to come up with a recipe that pretty much everyone could get into and get their cannabis on. You guys have to know that the most important thing about cooking with cannabis is making a really good infusion, a really good fat infusion. Because of course, you know that cannabis, THC, all the goodies are lipotropic. They stick to fat, right? So you always want some kind of fat if you're cooking, because then you can put the pot in it. So today we're going to be doing garbanzo bean brownies with THC oil. Now this is, of course, I make it myself. And this is, let's see, this one was 2/3 indica and 1/3 sativa. So that's kind of what works for me. But again, the great thing about making your own is you can make it the way you want to, right? So this is so easy, I'm almost embarrassed. Hang on, there's an ant. Okay, there, I got it. So this recipe, and Trey will have the recipe for you guys, okay? But what you do is you have 1 can of garbanzo beans, and these have been drained, okay? So you put them in there. This all goes in either a blender or a food processor, okay? So garbanzo beans, and then 2 eggs. Now, if you are vegan, you can use an egg substitute, and that works fine. Another thing about working with eggs, when you do cook with eggs, it's always a good idea to bring them out first and get them kind of room temp, because it's a protein, and when it's cold, it's tight, right? Like, when you get cold and your rings get loose, same kind of thing. When this protein is warm, it's more relaxed. So it's more emulsive, it emulsifies better. Anyway, just a little cooking tip. So you got 1 egg, there we are. By the way, this food processor, you guys, is from like 1860. It's really, really old, but it still works. Okay, 2 eggs, 4 egg substitute for our vegan friends. Now, you got your 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, unsweetened. Okay, boom. Hang on, this isn't on there, right? I've recently started watching, just to relax my brain, Worst Cooks in America. Oh my God, you guys, it just freaks me out so bad. I have to yell at the TV the whole time. Okay, we got the cocoa powder, 2/3 cup of sugar, and white sugar. Okay, it's not going to kill you. There you go, a little bit. Now, here's where the goodness comes in. This is our THC good stuff, full plant extract or infusion. I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of this oil, and that is going to give these brownies approximately 150 milligrams of delicious cannabinoids. So you just have to do a little math, right? So depending on what you want, like if you cut these brownies into really big pieces, you're going to get really high. And do a little math. Okay, you're dealing with 150 milligrams. So divide it. Obviously, if you cut your brownies up into 15 brownies, they'd each have 10 milligrams each. Don't you love how that works? So that's in there, okay? You gotta have something to make them rise. So baking powder, and let's see, yeah, just a teaspoon of baking powder. There we go, like that. This is, well, you guys are just gonna have to try this because it's a trip. Now, I'm a huge fan of cinnamon, especially with cannabis. Um, the thing I have learned is you can't just blithely, like if there's a recipe and it calls for half a cup of butter, you can't just dump half a cup of cannabis butter in there because it's going to taste like plants, right? So when you are working on recipes, cannabis infused recipes, think about the flavoring. I always add like more lemon, more cinnamon, more, and not necessarily to disguise the flavor so much as to kind of go around the. You'll see what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's just I want you to be aware that as much fun as this is, you can't just automatically do stuff. You got to test. So cinnamon, and kind of a lot, 2 teaspoons I like in these, okay? Another thing I'm always going to lecture you guys on is salt. You need it, it's good for you, you need it in your baking. You especially need it when you're working with sweet things. You know, sometimes you eat something and it's just so sweet and your teeth hurt and your face aches. No, that's because all it is sugar, okay? The reason food is delicious is because it has multiple flavors. So instead of just sweet, you want savory, maybe spicy. You want more flavor in that one thing, and it makes it better. So big pinch of salt, okay? Like that. Now you notice I've got chocolate chips and nuts in here and all that stuff. Those hard things don't go in until we've buzzed this up. Okay, let me look at the directions. No. Oh, you guys, the pan. When you are doing these brownies, you're going to want to do parchment paper and then spray. Now, I don't know if you guys have worked with parchment paper, but it can be a huge pain in your butt. That's why. See, parchment paper comes like this, and it's always a pain because it's all rolled up, right? You have to like, But so what I do is in the pan, spray it first real thoroughly with your pan spray, and then put in, and see the paper will stick, and then you won't lose your mind and go crazy. So that's good. So all of these are in here, except, you know, the nuts and the chips, okay? And then, this is so difficult. Oh, it's so hard. You just blend it till it's smooth. La, la, la. Blending. Almost. There. And what you come up with is basically delicious brown goo. Yeah. So I like to take the little thingy out. Okay. Sound effects are optional. There. Oops. And there. Okay. I know it's gross, but it isn't really. There. Now, oh no, look at that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is put in the hard things. Now, I would like you guys to make this the way it's written, one time, and then do it your way. Maybe you want to add, you know, some instant coffee, espresso powder. Maybe you want to put the white chips and the chocolate chips in at the same time. What I do is I put the chocolate in and then I sprinkle the white on top, but that's just me. Point is, you could customize these a lot of different ways. Dehydrated raspberries, shut up, how good would that be? You know, so do it the way it's written and then play with it, because that's what makes it really fun. So I'm going to put in the chocolate chips and the nuts. These are toasted walnuts. Pecans are awesome, but I was out because I ate them. And almonds are good too. So, you know, your favorite nut. Just remember, oh God, that's good. Oh, that's really good. Remember to always toast your nuts. I just love to say that because it brings out a lot of the essential oils and they're going to taste a lot better. Now, I'm just going to mix up the chocolate chips and the nuts.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
You changed your recipe.
Yes.
Recently, you sent me a second copy. So what's the perfection? What did you do to perfect this?
That's a very good question. The first time I made them in a tart pan, which is a thin pan. And they came out obviously thin and a little dry. And I was trying to figure out the timing. And so then when I made these in the 9x9 pan, by the way, kids, 9x9 pan. It gives you a much fudgier, thicker brownie. And so that was about the baking time. So here's our goo, professional goo, and we're just gonna get it in here. And again, you guys, if you do not have a food processor, no worries. You know, you can put the beans in the blender and mix it up that way if you want to. Maybe even a NutriBullet would work. No, that's too small. Okay, there. Look at that deliciousness. I hate to waste any of it, you know, especially when it has cannabis in it. I don't want to waste the goodness. All right, so there's that. Now, you guys are with me so far. This is not hard, is it? No, it's very simple. So then spreading. This isn't the most attractive batter in the world. That's okay. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bake this 350. I start checking at about 25 minutes. The challenge here is because it's really brown, you can't just look at it and see if it's done. Get your toothpick or your tester and poke it in, and when it comes out without fudgy crumbs, you're good to go. I want to lick this, but I'm trying to be professional. Okay.
And that's something you do have to keep in mind when you're doing cooking, because it's easy to forget when it's medicated.
Yep. So in the pan, okay, and then I like the chocolate chips on top. So see, isn't this hard? Oh my gosh, this is so difficult. The hardest thing about these brownies, you guys, is not eating the whole damn pan. And I can say that because I've eaten a whole damn pan before. All right. So these are going to go in the oven. See, pretty. And when they come out, usually about half an hour. Okay. When they come out, I like to sprinkle them again with, remember I'm talking about salt. I like this Maldon sea salt. It has big flakes. It's not real salty.
Dawn says yes.
Yeah, right on, Dawn. You know what's up. But it can really help with that sweetness. Okay. So, oven, 350 degrees, half an hour. Oh, what should we do for half an hour? Wait, I know.
Joshua says, I see so many mistakes that I make when I make brownies now, especially the exact substitution of butter for peanut butter.
Oh, okay, cool. Good. This is so magical. You guys are going to have a hard time believing this, but oh.
Wow, it transports and cooks at the same time.
Oh, it's magic. It went to another oven and uh-oh. Look what happened. Somebody ate them. You guys, I made these yesterday for today, right? And then I'm like, they were in the fridge and like, Mary. So in my mind, I was like, you guys will understand that I had to taste them, right? I had to taste most of them.
How are they?
They're so good. They're really good. And you don't have to put in the chocolate chips, right? But what I found the first time I made them, I didn't put in chocolate chips, and it's more of a one note, right? And because it's not flour, I mean, it's a little different. It's almost flour, but it's not really, you know? So that little burst of chocolate kind of gives it a fudginess that is delicious. And you could use peanut butter chips or mint chips. Like I say, you guys, I want you to get the basics, okay? I want you to understand how these work and then go crazy. So,
could you take one out and show us the consistency of it?
Yeah.
If you don't mind?
You want to eat it with me?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see now. I think this one is probably right. Yeah. Now, you guys can see in a 9x9 pan, realistically, you're probably going to have you're going to get maybe 15, maybe 12, right? Depending on how you cut it. So, oh, there's a nice brownie for my boy, Trey. There.
So just, if you don't mind breaking that so we can see what it looks like.
Ooh, okay, here we go. See you going. Looks like flour, right?
It's like a real brownie. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
And I'll take one of those.
Oh, here, baby.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
See? Oh, look, there's brownies everywhere. But, right? Aren't they good?
Yeah, I would never guess there's garbanzo bean in that.
No flour, people, right? So if you have a gluten issue, then these are for you. What I tell myself is, because, there's calories, even if, if it's good for you and organic, there's still calories.
Mhm.
But I'm telling myself, they're good calories. They're cannabis and chocolate calories.
Dawn asks about storing them. Do you put them in the fridge? You just cover them and leave them on the counter?
I put them in the fridge.
Okay.
Yeah. Anytime that there's a sugar, Dawn, you're going to have eventually overnight or in 2 days, you're going to have mold. Things are going to want to grow on it. So the fridge is your pal.
And you could freeze half if you wanted to give them away later, I guess, right?
I did that.
Okay.
And then every night, Mary, we're in the freezer. They didn't last.
Because you could put them in individually and then take them out and microwave them and put them underneath some ice cream or something. Eh?
Yeah, you don't even have to microwave them. I just put them in my face. Well, because they were thin, yeah. And that is a good thing though, Trey. With any kind of cannabis stuff, y'all, you can freeze it and it'll last a long time. And my stuff never lasts because I eat it. Yeah.
Any questions, maybe?
Yeah, do you guys have any questions? Anything I can help you with? Anything that you need to know? Questions about dosages or how to figure out what you're eating? These are so good. Question? Anything? No. You guys really? Okay.
And Kelly just joined us, and I don't think David told us where he is or
I didn't hear from David.
Oh, it says we are muted, so.
Oh, oops. I'm gonna rinse my hands off.
Unmute you if you would like to.
God, those are good. Ooh.
Hi, I had a question about preferences of different extracts for your cooking, because I know I've used a lot of CO2 RSO in the past, but I know a lot of people prefer distillates. I was wondering if you had a preferred or least preferable one.
That's a really good question. And what I'm going to tell you is I make all my own. I make my own butter and tincture, glycerin and alcohol, and all my own topicals. So I know a lot of people do work with those, and you can get a really good product. I don't want to give you the wrong information because I just make my own.
I respect it. A whole plant extract. I like it.
Yep. But you should come over to a class because they're very fun.
I most certainly will.
You take home everything that you make. Don't tell the Liquor and Cannabis Board though, because they think we only use hemp over here. So there's that. What else you guys got? Anything? No? Is everybody, are they still muted?
No, they can.
Okay.
David had one in the chats asking about, did it matter what strain you were using? And actually, I'd like to know as well.
Thank you.
The strain, with my oil that I make, and again, this is not only for me, but it's for people in class. So I try and make it real, almost like a hybrid. And because I have a medical license, I can grow my own plants. So this one is 2/3, it was purple kush, and then 1/3 strawberry cough. So it's my own little kind of hybrid mixture, right? But if you're making, for example, if you're making some desserts for your dinner party, you might want to have a very high CBD ratio in there, because if you get those people too high, they're going to stay overnight and you're not going to get rid of them, right? But if you give them CBD, they're going to want to go home and go night-night. Same thing, if you are making something that you're going to ingest during the day when you have to be clear-headed and work and stuff, you would want to make it with a more sativa dominant, right? So that you can be more awake. That's the great thing about making your own too, is you can play with it. You can make it how you want. The stuff I use when I make my topicals, I use a lot of indica and a lot of hemp because I want a really high CBD ratio. Yeah. So does that answer the question? Yeah. Maybe.
And David says, I'm from Vegas, but I'm out of town working and taking the cannabis professional course, and I'm so happy to learn about cooking because I'm new to food fusion and can't wait to try it some myself.
Yay, good. You guys are gonna love these brownies. And you guys, I do have a couple of cookbooks out. There's Everyday Mary J, because that's my middle initial. And that's on my website, maryjwhite.com. The other one, the CBD Cookbook for Beginners, that's on Amazon. And actually, that's a really good cookbook because all those CBD recipes, if you just replace that with full plant infusions, you're going to have some really good stuff. There's all kind of fancy shit in there too. I got all excited. This is good food. And the great thing about learning grandma medicine is you can then incorporate it and everybody's happy. So that's what I got to say.